Okay. First of all, I wanted to say hello to all of you. I am very happy to share my visionary art with such amazing community in Australia. It's my first time here, and I really enjoy to share and stay here and find and make new friends, new connections. Why I began to paint visionary art? Well, in the beginning, in my forming as an artist, my mainly training in the school, it was like to be a rainforest artist. My mentor in visionary art was Pablo Amaringo, one of the biggest visionary artists in the Amazon region. After his work, Pablo Amaringo was a point of inspiration of many other people, especially young people, because now they are spreading their legacy around the world. Pablo Amaringo 3 years ago just passed away, but all his students, they are going to be now a visionary artist. Why I paint visionary art now? Well, I think it was from the beginning when I was a child. I was connected with the Amazon, you know, because we grow part of our lives in the Amazon. We have around a bunch information between myths and legend about everything, you know. We grow up in the middle of ancestor knowledge, because we have a lot knowledge of the forest, who can transmit it generation by generation. I grew up in Pucallpa, which belongs to the Amazon region, also in Iquitos, which belongs also to the Amazon. So for me, it was not difficult to make a change from the rainforest artist to be a visionary art. It was just one step. I didn't realize that I can be a visionary artist until some person pushed me up to drink ayahuasca. And the ayahuasca for me, I think it was one of the best way to introduce me into the world, spirit world, because I knew before. In the meantime, when I was with Pablo, painting near him and sharing moments, beautiful moments, learning how to capture all the essential and magical essential of the spirit in his works, I think I began to be forming a solid conception of the visions. I thought in a moment that, okay, someday I will be a visionary, but not now. Because Pablo doesn't permit even to drink ayahuasca. In that moment I was almost 17 years old, very young, and I was so feared to drink ayahuasca. But after, when I left the school, an anthropology friend, Luis Eduardo Luna, pushed me up to drink ayahuasca and invited me to drink ayahuasca in Manaus, in his seminaries. He has a retreat in Florianopolis in Brazil, and he understood from the beginning when I was in the school that I can make a big change in my life as a visionary artist, not only rainforest artist. That was the beginning of all this process. 10 years ago, I began to paint. I will speak more about this process in my next presentation. After this panel conversation, I will make all this history and share more information with you about that.
Thank you very much, Andy.
Okay, thank you.
I think this is a good segue for you, Katya, because you have a wonderful story of how you came to painting. I don't know if you're ready to share it with the audience.
It's a really huge question. I came from the other side of the story. I started working as a psychic and medium and a visionary when I was 15, and developed in that, and I've only started painting 5 years ago. So it really came from having the visions, and eventually there comes a time when they can't be spoken, they can only be painted or given you know, you can't verbalize. It just, it wasn't intentional. I was on a spiritual path and I became very ill, and out of desperation, I was technically diagnosed disabled, so I actually was desperate, and I'd heard about ayahuasca shamanism, so I started healing through that method. And the day after my first ceremony, just to integrate myself, I just sat and painted probably what would be my first visionary art. And that was just a private meditation for about 2 years, and then when Alex Gray came to town, someone invited me along for an exhibition, thank you, and then I needed to look into what's visionary art, and it looked like, well, that's probably what I've been doing. So yeah, and I do it because I actually see the divinity in humans, and I want them to see that too, really desperately, and this seems a path, and it's so blissful to do.
Thank you so much, Katya. I'd like to welcome Brian Itch to the panel as well. Everyone give Brian a warm welcome.
Thank you. My name is Adam Scott Miller, and I am primarily known as a visionary painter, mostly in traditional, more or less traditional media. But it comes down to being drawn to the artistic and creative path via any avenue. You just tap into your own personal compass and chemistry to realize what's sensible for you as a human being, like whatever you feel like your gifts are, and utilizing them in tandem, in parallel with your intention, well, hopefully an intention to better the world, because we're in a desperate situation, and we come to a festival like this in extreme conditions to be outside of society and civilization, where we can share ideas, but we have to do this because it's not really acceptable in mainstream society and civilization. And as the years pass by, it's increasingly significant and desperate matter for us to come together and connect and share via whatever means of communication and creativity we have to share the insights we have by going within and trying to and having faith that we have our own personal capability to realize new ideas and put them into action and make connection with others who will collaborate and co-create with us. Yeah, that's why I became an artist, because it's just utilizing my own natural talents in order to share my deep mystical and also more practical insights into the world, the universe, and myself.
Hello everybody, is this on? This one's not working? Alright, so my name is Amanda Sage, and I paint, I guess, in out of a deep desire to give something back to this planet. And I was raised in a very media-free, natural, holistic environment. And I was then at Waldorf School. I don't know if any of you have heard of a Waldorf school system. And then I studied painting with some great artists in Austria. Ernst Fuchs is the man that I was his assistant to for 10 years. And he's one of the godfathers of visionary art, what we know of that today, especially in the Western world. And I've gone on to, I feel that many of my paintings come from a place of discovery and openness and being very receptive to what wants to come through. And I'm very interested in social architecture, and I'm interested in the planet, in a very physical way, of beyond the as much as I see the the spirit and the visionary states as being just as synonymous and important, I'm really interested in physical change. And so I see more of like how, as I paint, as I can articulate more what I want to see and want to share and feel from the surroundings, then that's something that can ripple and create great ripples. And I feel that that's one of my missions and why I paint.
Thank you so much, Amanda Sage.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Hutt, and I suppose the reason why I began painting when I was a child was mostly to firstly find out who I was as a person, and also to try and work out how the world works and how the mind works and all that kind of thing. Because also through teaching, because I've been teaching painting for about 12 years, I've worked out so many things about how the human mind works, and also the process of painting rewires your brain, like very much so. Even if you just do it for relaxation purposes or whatever, there's so many aspects to it. Also, like the aspect of how the mind complicates things. We can't, it is impossible for humans just about to actually see what they are seeing, and also like, with politicians and that type of thing, if we just simply saw what we were seeing, the world wouldn't be in the state it's in, type thing. Also, whether you're an artist or whether you're not an artist, on a recent television interview, someone asked me, the interviewer asked me, is there such a thing as good or bad art? And my answer to that is, it's not a question of good or bad art, it's a question of whose opinion are you thinking? Because we're always thinking someone else's opinion and someone else's thoughts and someone else. You wouldn't believe the degree to which we are constantly thinking someone else's opinion. And if you actually think your own opinion and the art you like, whatever that might be, is actually a reflection of who you are, and the music you like is actually a reflection of who you are, it's a process of discovering on so many multi-levels who we are. It's a long conversation, but I'll just leave it at that for now.
Thank you very much, Bonnie.
Hello, my name is Emma Watkinson from England. I've always painted since I was really little. I knew that was just what I was here to do, and it was really that simple. I also made music and traveled a lot and kind of got distracted for a while, but the reason why I got refocused, I guess it summed up the reason why I paint in a vision quest that I had on ayahuasca. That created the most major painting I've done, Akhenaten, which was these spirits came to me very clearly, and these celestial guides, and they took me through the karma of my life and brought me up to the present day. It was like a classic vision quest. That's what a classic vision quest is you're asking the universe, why am I here? What am I here to do? Can we get to the point? And it was clearly that. It showed me the meaning of my life and said, now this is your mission on the planet. We want you to paint these paintings and encode them with magic and myth and archetypes, and that's your job. Get on with it. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome, thank you so much. Ryan.
Hello, my name's Brian Itch, I'm from Melbourne. I guess I got into art and painting at an early age. I was sick a lot as a kid, so I was always stuck in hospital, so I just escape and draw for days at a time. And I think my insight into the other realms kind of came early when I died when I was around 5, and it must have tweaked me a bit. So I didn't really understand a lot of my artworks deeply until I was in my mid-20s, and I started playing around with psychedelics, and that started making me understand a lot more what I was actually drawing up until that point. After that, I realized that we were actually given these gifts as kind of like medicinal tools to unlock fascist points of consciousness or viewpoints, kind of like antidotes to fundamentalist thought, or just to dissolve dark mimetic content and pull it apart from the inside out. So I'm able to get out into the streets and put it into graffiti, but hide it a little bit so it slips under the radar, which is quite nice. Also come to festivals like this and present it in a bit more of a full-blown psychedelic fashion as well. So it's cool.
Very cool. Thanks so much. I'm pretty curious about how each of you kind of get in the zone and begin the channeling process. I mean, you're starting out with a blank canvas. You've got all these colors in front of you. If you're like Amanda Sage, you have about 5 different drinks in front of you. How do you get yourself in the zone? Andy.
Oh well, we play as to be creative, you know, let's say go creative when one make a visionary painting, you know. I don't know nothing about the first step to make a vision. I just go into the energy. I just make a deep meditation. I make some retrospection into my experience, into the ayahuasca journeys, which I have a bunch of stuff, almost 56 times drinking ayahuasca, and all was different, experience different, pattern different. Some are very high, some very powerful, quite intense, sometimes turning me like a paranoid, you know, because I was desperate trying to get out of this journey. And when I am in front of my blank, don't move. Oh well, okay. In front of my blank canvas, you know, I'll just go through the past tense, present times, and the future times, you know, because I'm just make a play into the time and the space. I try to capture different images, what I got in my vision. Like example, if I went to the Mesopotamian civilization, Egyptian civilization, Persian civilization, which one would be better? Or which one, or what kind of fantastic city what I saw? I would just make a mental meditation where I can be 20 minutes or 1 hour just sitting there making meditation. Okay. When I got it, I just go, you know? It's like an energy comes through my heart, through my mind, through my hands. For me, it's like a spreading energy in my hand. I just began to feel where is coming the energy and come to figure out, okay, here can be, okay, one sun light's coming, okay, here can be a forest, you know, like embrace all these pattern of the, you know, of the visions, or okay, it can be some snake coming around there, you know. Okay, and just make some mental visualization of the process. So when after I just go straight with the pen. I don't like to make so much sketch, because when I go through the sketch, sometimes make me disturb to me so much and take my attention so much. So I go straight to the painting and I just play, you know, with the light, color. I just go. When it's already the road, I just going, the next step is going slowly, you know, okay, I can feel this, okay, this is this, I can see a figure, I can see a snake, or I saw a forest here, a building, wow, everything. So I just began to make with the brushes, you know. And in one day, maybe I can make all the entire idea, and the next day can take the process maybe 3 months later. I can finish finally my painting. That is my way. Thank you. That's it.
I find that the initial vision tends to drop in if I'm in a state of deep peace and bliss. So it's very hard to actually control that process. I can't, say I've got 2 hours to think of a vision or take DMT and get one. It actually, they kind of decide when I'm allowed, and all I can do is actually keep my body and my mind and my heart and my soul in a state of bliss and peace, and then I know they drop in. So it's like I'm an instrument. I need to take care of the instrument, and if I do a good job of that, I seem to be able to receive. Sometimes it's an entire vision, and I love that so much, because then I can photograph a mock-up of what I've seen, and then I can know what I'm painting, and that's nice for the ego and the confidence, you know where you're going. But sometimes it's just a little glimmer, and it's like, okay, you're not going to tell me the next bit until I paint this bit. And so, okay, I have to just trust, paint that bit, wait, trust, paint the next bit. So I guess that's how it comes, yeah.
Thank you so much.
What I think, at least, that I've realized over the years of, having a vision, which is not necessarily visual, but some sort of insight. I've realized over the years that it seems to me to be something arises not from me, but from between me, quote unquote, and the world, or the cosmic consciousness, or my own unconscious. Because we go through life and we have our conscious mind serving as the navigator, but our conscious minds are so minuscule, a dim spark compared to our entire mind. Round about our entire mind is 99%, or probably much more, unconscious compared to that dim spark of our consciousness, that our conscious mind that navigates through the world. And so for me, it comes down to, say, in the context of painting, I start out with a vision, an initial inspiration, subject matter that comes, that's inspired from within, but the impetus that feeds into that inspiration comes from anywhere, from friends, or a random bird call I might hear, or a song, or a particular feeling, and have that initial seed that's enough to grow something from, and then start with that inspiration and flow with it, and then the creative process begins, and throughout the entire process until the completion, it seems to be a dialoguing between your conscious mind and your unconscious, or the cosmic consciousness. So as to getting into the zone, it's getting into a Zen state of just openness and being receptive to listening to the world and the universe, within and without any sign, absolutely every iota of information being a message from the greater mind to oneself. Wonderful, thank you so much.
So Tiago is right. In some ways, it does take me 5 drinks, and to explain what that is I like to think that I need something else. I need something else. It's like these different things to distract me, which is actually just a ploy to get me not to paint, I feel like. And so when I get to a point where I have absolutely everything and I have nothing, no excuses anymore, And that's one thing. Sometimes there are forces I feel like that are trying to keep me away from making the magic. But when I'm about to start a painting, I get really receptive. I feel like I have these little feelers that go out, and I listen much more acutely. I see things more acutely, and I listen to repetitive words or things that come in. This is why I really like live painting. And I've started a lot of painting down on the street in downtown Los Angeles, or in various places that are, and it doesn't matter really where it is almost. It's wonderful in environments like this where people are really awake, I feel like. But on stage, for an example, that's powerful, there's so much energy I can feel behind me, and I feel like that just supports whatever it is to come through. And I'm very unbiased, or I'd like to be unbiased about what it is. And so the more I can distract myself from defining it too much in the beginning, the better. And then I'll use all the refinement skills that I have to help it come out. But also one of the things that I use is really asking, what does the painting want? Really listening to the painting, and there's always something for sure. There can be a lot of questions, a lot of maybes, but I always come back to there's something for sure. And as long as I follow that path of something that I know for sure, like I know I want blue here. It's just, I feel it, I can't tell you why, but I know it. Then it leads me to the next step. And this is what my teacher, Ernst Fuchs, did. I would watch him paint for hours. We would paint up to 16 hours sometimes. And it was almost like a trance state. And then he would just get his brush full with paint and then just go until there was nothing left in the brush. And it was watching that really helped me get into that state of like just allowing the brush and following that. And it's fascinating to see what comes through.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So art and other art forms work in the same way. I always correlate art to music when I'm teaching, because of course the technical side of art comes from the left-hand side of the brain, which is quite technical, and it's same as music, which is quite mathematical. But creativity comes from a space of no mind. You know, and I mean that's one of the issues I feel in the modern art institutions, is they intellectualize that which can't be intellectualized, because it comes from a state of no mind, all this creativity. Just like when musicians are up to a certain point, you know, with their practice in music, when they're jamming, they're making music up out of thin air. They're making this amazing stuff up because it's coming from spirit, a space of no mind. Yeah, and then also just to get into the state to be able to paint. Like in life, I get tired and I'm not in the mood, or haven't slept or whatever, and you're not always in that zone. So there's a couple of things. Firstly, like personally, it's all about the pineal gland, because that's where a lot of the information comes through. So one thing is, of course, if you can just research fluoride, because I don't touch that stuff because it totally blocks my everything. And also toxins, you know, I don't have much toxins and that type of thing, because if you're very toxic physically, of course it's, you know, we're all holistic, you know, it affects us being able to bring things through as well. Also exercise and stuff like that seems like obvious, but I can't sit and paint for 10 hours in a shot or whatever if I haven't gone for a run or something like that, because you just can't focus. Also, you know, dehydration, things like that. You can't focus on anything if you're dehydrated. You can't even read a book. I mean, it sounds simple, but, you know, yeah, so you just got to, and also I'm often not in the zone when I start painting, you know. I actually have to sit there, and then after about 20 minutes I get into the zone, you know. But also that thing, like what Amanda was saying about the distraction thing, that's exactly what happens when anybody tries to meditate, is the conscious mind tries to distract you in 101 ways, because the conscious mind has this fear of being wiped out for whatever reason. yeah, and of course painting's a type of meditation, so it will try and give you 101 reasons why you've got to do the dishes or whatever, instead of doing your meditation, painting or music or whatever it is. So there you go.
Thank you, that was fantastic.
Okay, so there's the inspiration process, and with me that's pretty involved, and it's a combination of esoteric study and ayahuasca, pretty much. And meditating on an idea can take weeks or months, or I might be working really deeply with the Kabbalah, and that will be a whole lifelong interactive thing, you know, like synchronicities, meetings, conversations, books, and I'll go really deep into a theme like the Kabbalah Tree of Life or the Divine Feminine, and it will become my whole life, and I'll be living that and researching that and exploring that. And then particularly potent ayahuasca journeys, I'll go deeper into that and explore that, or have some epic experience or receive some guidance or teaching. It'll be like, that's the next painting, got it. And the actual painting, there's more information that comes, again, like synchronistically and intuitively in the actual painting. And to get in the zone with me, it's got to be really good music all the time. I love music, I am a musician, and I cannot paint without really good music. Like driving, meditative, and I'll paint for like long hours, like massive paint-a-thons, like 16, 20 hours. I'll get in a trance and there'll be this particular album on with this particular track, and I can't work without that track. At the moment I've got like Solar Fields and Art and Ishq on repeat. And Crystalinda, that's like the moment, that's what I need, I can't paint without that. And musicians will send me their music, and I'll be like, oh, this bit of the painting, that was that album, thank you. And it's like this like feedback loop, which I really like. I'll have like a dialogue with musicians, and they'll tell me their intuitive experiences of, oh, that was about this theme, and I was really inspired by that. And I really enjoy that kind of cross-fertilization of the arts and music in that way. And when I'm in that trance, intuitive stuff will come through on the painting, and it'll be like, oh, that's meant to be there, and it was always like it was always meant to be there, and like I'm just listening to some other guidance or spirit that had the entire thing mapped out months ago, and I'm just trying to it kind of pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle. I feel like I'm listening to some kind of higher guidance that's got the whole thing worked out in some magical geometry, and I'm like, no way, that's meant to be there, of course it is. So it's like that.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think everyone's pretty much covered it. Nah, I think my best works are totally when I'm really in a Zen state and just channeling. I don't think I've actually tried to replicate anything that I've actually seen in a vision. It's all just in the moment kind of thing. It just seems to be when I take myself out of the picture the most, the better the work. So there's always going to have bits of me in there, like I'm a coloured lens that the inspiration's shooting through. You're like, focusing it onto the canvas or computer or whatever it is at the time. But I don't know. For me, it's really hard to remember a lot of the details from your visions, but they seem to catalyze a state of mind in the weeks after, and it seems to come through anyway. You know, it's like an extension of your journeys, more than trying to replicate something. Which is cool.
Thank you so much. I'm going to pick on Amanda again, and a lot of your portraits to me depict like a very intimate spiritual identity, and I'm curious with each of the artists how much your work reflects your spiritual identity, and in what way. start in the same order. But yeah, I was just that's what inspired me, was seeing your work and just how intimate and personal it is, and how you're sharing that. And I'm curious how it comes through for each of you in your work.
Identity.
Your spiritual identity, your like the Amazonian culture that's coming through, and the.
Okay. Basically, I have a wild identity from the Amazon because all the person from the Amazon, we are identified with our forest. We are identified with our powerful animal like a jaguar, like an anaconda, like such a mama, like all different big animal what we have. For us our spirit is right in the forest because we came from the forest. We live in the forest, and all this powerful and all these resources come from. We just grow up in the jungle. You know, I was just when I was a child, I was just playing with the dolphin, you know, in the river because my father was a fisherman. So sometimes I went to fish with my father and see the big giant paiche, you know, Irapaima gigas, you know, which is the biggest. Like a white shark here, you know, we have almost 4 or 5 meters, this big, you know, the doncellas, the piranhas, everything, you know, that is in the water. But in the forest, we have the jaguar as our mainly, you know, powerful animal, one of the biggest cat, and that is our reflection, you know, as a guy from the Amazon, for the wolf, and all my works, I represent the power of the forest. For me, it's very important this identity because it's like my DNA from my national country, you know. That's what I am, Peruvian, a Peruvian boy, because we have such amazing civilization like the Empire Incas, you know. We were from the north until Ecuador, from the south until Argentina, part north of Argentina. So as a Peruvian citizen, for me, I'm so proud for that. I'm not so. Okay, so well, for me, it's very important to have this identity for the foreign people. You know, I am so proud for that. You know, I'm just working in that way and see the best what I can do. That is all.
Thank you so much, Andy.
I find the process painfully intimate, actually. It's an internal, external reflection, you know, what's within, without. And often I'll think I've got a vision and it's about that friend or that other thing, or that's just a deity, or I think it's separate to me. And then when I paint it, it unfolds as some really highly relevant and overly personal aspect of me coming home. And then it's actually really embarrassing when you put it up in public, because they actually all do end up going in really intimate experiences with them that I don't always expect. I always think, oh, it's just some pretty little vision, but it always seems to heal and churn me through the process and become horribly intimate.
Thank you so much, Katia.
Okay, basically as far as how I see my personal self reflecting in my work,
your spiritual identity.
My spiritual identity, yeah. Well, yeah, sure. Well, heck, all right. My mind is hyper complex, and I identify with the position where I can put together the whole picture. Put together pieces of the puzzle into kind of like a universal symbol that I then attempt to paint in the painting. But then, in a different fashion, I have very personal experience of seeing energy, seeing the ecology of energy, seeing the invisible waves of energy that surround us at all times due to a combination of spiritual discipline to align me with that talent, along with brain damage that made it obvious. I do what I feel I am meant to do. And that's what comes down to spiritual identity in my work.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
So I feel that I've done a lot of portraits in my life of other people, and when I paint myself, or when I paint from, say, my imagination, there's a reflection that comes through that I feel is very more potent than anything that I could paint of if I was specifically painting someone else or using someone else as a reference. And this is where this kind of this face, a messenger face, can come through. And there's quite a few paintings that I've done that have started this way, where I don't know who it is, I don't know what they're saying, I don't know why, but I just kind of call them through, and they do have a lot of my own features. You know, people ask me if they're self-portraits, but it's just because I know my own face so well, and I see, when I look into the mirror, I see you, you know? And so that is, I think, that it's a deep journey to look into your own eyes, you know, and to see the rest of existence.
Wow, thank you so much, Amanda.
So I'll just talk about one aspect of that question, because it's quite a multi-layered, multifaceted subject. So I'll just talk about in terms of magic, and banishing and evoking as far as what the soul is concerned. So back in the day, my work was quite dark, and what I was doing is basically embracing my shadow. We all have a shadow self, no matter how much we think we don't or whatever. And of course that's a necessary part of ourselves, because it helps, you know, create experiences, and you know, we can learn from it and helps propel us forward, and that's why we're here. So if we embrace our shadow, we tend to grow, you know, there, in my case, by painting, there it is on the canvas for everyone to see. I can move on, you know, it's very healing. So back in the day, I was, you know, more the banishing process, healing subconscious things, you know, accepting, it's a part of accepting, you know, a bit of yourself. Because a lot of people deny the shadow, they're quite polarized, and then they can't move on, their shadows grow bigger, because you get some people who are all light, and they don't keep it real. But then you, with painting, you can create what you're wanting as well, you know, and that's part of creating the new world, you know, as far as everyone can see. And of course images go straight into the subconscious mind. People don't even have to consciously know what they're looking at. And that's my soul journey, as far as painting is concerned, is embracing the old, embracing the shadow, but moving on, you know, creating the new and sharing it with the world. So, yeah.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much.
Okay, so to define what is a spiritual identity, in most spiritual practices, the archetypes is a form, that is a spiritual practice, to identify with different archetypes. And that's a tool for evolutionary growth. So if I'm working with like Kabbalah, for example, I might be exploring the archetypes of the balance of Venus, love and beauty, with Hod, which is like Mercury, myth and intellect, or the Christos archetype, to sacrifice yourself to love everyone. You might identify with Akhenaten, a solar king. You might identify with the divine feminine, with Bridget, with Aphrodite. There are so many, the whole pantheon of gods and goddesses. That's exactly what we're exploring, the spiritual identity. I mean, the ultimate identity, or the ultimate spiritual path, is to have no identity, to be no mind, to be like pure oneness and beyond all of that. But I think that in exploring all of these archetypes, we get to unravel the mystery, the psyche of the human soul. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Emma.
Yeah, I guess for me, a lot of it might not seem too personal, my work, but I guess it's because the whole point is just to be taking yourself out of the picture and dissolving the ego and trying to bring forth the unity that underpins everything. So there's not a lot of self-portraits or stuff in my work. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I guess we can all take on different forms. So you just want to embody different energies. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Brian. I think that about wraps it up.